Remember?
So 10-minute video. That's not bad. That's not bad. But so this apparently is inside the 40-year-old long Dungeons and Dragons game. A game that's been going on for 40 years. I think I can reach that. Right? That's the goal. It's like being married.
Remember that game of D&D you started when you were 11? What if it never stopped?
Oh my gosh, that would be beautiful. I remember the game that I started when I was at 11. I 100% remember that game. Hold on. That game was absolutely horrible. Okay, I didn't start when I was 11. I started when I was 13. I had to have been 13. Yeah. No, I wasn't 13. I was like 15 when I started my first D&D game. Yeah, I was like 15 or 14 when I started my first D&D game. And I didn't know at all what I was doing. Like, at all. I didn't know there was a book. I had no idea that these books existed. I had no idea that anything was there to help you. I made everything from scratch. I made the rules from scratch. I made the characters from scratch. I made the spells, the abilities, the experience, the monsters, the items, the arm. Like, everything was from scratch, and it was absolute dog doo-doo.
Robert Wardoff. I'm a history professor at the University of Western Ontario. I am a dungeon master for a campaign that has been going on for 40 years.
What began in secret with a few friends has turned into a game that takes up much of Robert's life. And most of us
being a DM's like a part-time, if not full-time job. Look at this map, man. This is something that, one, I don't have the time for. Look, he's got a little camera there. Does he stream it? Look at this. What's that? Is that Chad over there? Look, he's got like the waterfall going in. It's going across. He's got, what is this? This is fantastic. Imagine playing on this. There's no grid. They're playing it Warhammer style. Every inch is, those squares are just about an inch, right? So like you can use a ruler. Every inch is about 5 feet.
Robert has around 30,000 hand-painted figurines. Countless
30,000? Hold on. He uses the same thing that I use. Oh my gosh. Look, he just uses toolboxes.
Robert's life.
Hold on.
And most of his house.
30,000. Look at all those displacer beasts. They're organized too. Look, this is organized by beast. That's organized by monstrosities. This is organized by elementals. They don't really make... I feel like there's a business. There's a business for putting minis on, like making minis for containers for people. Like if you could have a place to put all your minis. Oh my gosh, because I use the same thing. You guys seen my thing? I have like a fish box. I don't even know what it's called because I've never gone fishing before. I have like a thing where you would use for fishing to keep all your bait and stuff like that.
Hand-painted figurines, countless custom-made pieces of terrain, and dozens of devoted players taking part in his campaign.
If you're going to keep a game going for 40 years, it's going to have to be a good game. If you're going to have people who are going to want to play and are going to want to fly in, you're going to have to offer a product that is going to be better than all the other alternatives that are out there. I can certainly say with confidence that this is the best Dungeons & Dragons game in the world.
Oh, Tacklebox. Thank you. Damn. Do you think is he Advanced Dungeons and Dragons? Do you think he's still playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons? Do you think he's even playing 5th edition? He says this is the best D&D game out in the world. I don't believe you. Do you guys go to space? That's what I thought.
So if I'm playing for 10 hours a week at 52 weeks in a year, that means if I'm doing that times 40.
Never mind. They have 10-hour sessions. It's the best game. Hands down. Everyone bow to the king.
Be 20,800 hours.
How many minutes is that?
So if I figured that out in minutes, that would end up being 1.24 million minutes, I think. As you crest the ridge, there seems to be quite a commotion. You estimate it could be as many as 24 or so goblins. You surprise them as much as they have surprised you. I need a surprise roll.
What?
That's really just the start. Almost every major decision in Robert's life is designed to keep the game going.
When I was buying...
There's my imitation of a motorcycle. Hope you guys love it. I mean, that's cool. Like, just from that right there, he's a narrator DM. Perfect imitation. I'm just really good at sometimes when I feel like busting out the motorcycle noise. Yeah, perfect imitation. Yeah, so I feel like there's two main types of role players. There's the RPers, and then there's the actors. I said RPers. There's the narrators, the readers, and then there's the actors. He's a narrator.
Buying a house, the most important part for me was getting a gaming space that I could use. My entire basement is my gaming area.
If he doesn't slow down, he's going to need a bigger house.
Dude, I felt that.
I have a lot of figs. I've got orcs, I've got elves, I've got dwarves, I've got all the basic things that you'd expect. But I also have very distinct and unique figs. I have vampires, I have undead, I have zombies, I have werewolves, beholders. Tiamat, the mother of all dragons, all the big demonic lords.
Wait. Hold on, did you guys see that? Is that... He never really uses this one. It's covered in cobwebs and dust. He had to pull this one out from the top shelf. He didn't even dust it off. They just left it like that. Oh no.
Tiamat, the mother of all dragons, all the big demonic lords from the Demogorgon.
The Demogorgon! We're deep.
But also heroes. So all the great kings and queens of countries, the high-level wizards, all of these things. My goal is to have everything.
But what's the point of having so many figurines if you don't have any amazing terrain to place them on? Robert has no shortage in that department either.
I need to be able to adapt to wherever the party's going to go. That means that I need to have my green terrains. I need to have mountain terrain. I need to have all of my winter terrain, my arid desert terrains, my water terrains. If they're going to go into a town, now I need a town, okay, are they in a Roman town? Are they in an Anglo-Saxon town? Are they in an African town? Is it high medieval? Is it low medieval? So now I'm trying to be able to put out
I'm gonna brush past that.
A village or a town for every one of these historical settings. I can't put figurines on the table unless they are painted up to a certain level. That means that someone's got to do a heck of a lot of painting. And so that ends up being
Citadel colors, man.
He's found me on an average day working on the game. You'd probably see me in my painting room, and I'm going to be spending 2, 3, 4 hours painting figs.
And do people take their
2, 3, 4 hours?
No. Nobody is allowed to take their figurines home. Nobody is actually allowed to touch the figs on the table. So that's also something that would be different.
Whoa. What? 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 Come on, dude. He's a perfectionist. Okay, wait. Didn't he say he was a history teacher? Okay, never mind. Then that makes sense. I was because I was like, when he was talking about like the African homes, I was like, no, okay. He's a history buff. That's right. What? You're not allowed to touch him? No way. All right, you lost me, buddy. I'm sorry.
A person who played Dungeons and Dragons would probably come to my table and they would immediately reach over to grab their fig. I'm probably going to growl at them and tell them, don't touch the figs because I have to move everything.
Why?
I'm sure my critics would say that there's a God complex going on about that.
I don't say there's a God complex. I say it's a bit of a perfectionist. Your critics. Why?
This here is the figurine of the Demon Lord Orcus. It's well known to Dungeons & Dragons, and in my campaign 100 years ago, which would be in actual time something like maybe 1989, the group banished this demon. So they thought that's fine. Only recently, last year actually, the demon's back. They don't know where he is, they're desperately trying to find him, and he's definitely up to no good.
That's cool.
While fantasy role-playing and nerd culture
That's
are often
cool.
celebrated today.
Yo, think about that though. Oh, what's up? Oh no. Oh no, Crash Bandicoot's king. Yeah, Crash Bandicoot's got the throne. How many people did you have to kill to sit there, Crash? That's something I didn't think about for a 40-year-long game, is that there's probably like quest lines that go on for years. Maybe it's like a TV show, you know, maybe in season 2 there's this big bad guy you guys killed, but by season 15 there's a someone that resurrects that big bad guy that you once killed, and now he's back stronger than ever. Oh my gosh.
Robert's campaign started during a time when people felt like they needed to play in secret.
In the 80s and 90s, it was certainly more difficult.
What did these say? Hold on, I want to see what these said. Game is target of fight in Putnam. What?
Started during a time when people felt like they
Program on Satan worship spurs controversy at NPC. I saw a Channel 5 video last night of I think it was like the first ever Satan convention, and they didn't seem too bad. They seemed like they just wanted to help people. None of them were like worshiping Satan. It was almost like a dig. They were all just like, it seemed like they were just there to help people and have a church that didn't feel like it what's it called? I can't think of the word. It's like it starts with a D. Discriminate against anyone.
they needed to play in secret.
In the
Utah parents exercise devilish game. Exercise it? Oh no. Dragon Master sees the dungeon plan players take an imaginary journey through the dungeons. Players assume a character. Okay, they're just explaining. Complaints began right away. Complaints about the program began almost as soon as the game was started.
In the 80s and 90s, it was certainly more difficult to try to talk about or explain the game to people. I grew up in a very small town, and it was quite a conservative town. And so the town inevitably found out that we were playing, and they didn't know what the heck we were doing. And Dungeons & Dragons had very bad press at the time.
Tonight we begin with a story about make-believe adventure and real-life violence, and what some critics fear is a connection between the two in a game.
Dude, this guy had
called
to
Dungeons
fight
and
just
Dragons.
to play. Just
A
to
movie
play
came out
D&D.
while we were
This guy had
playing
to
called
fight
Mazes
just so
and
I could
Monsters.
roast
And
him
it's a
for
story of
being
how
fast.
they play this game and then they try to act it out in real life, and basically bad things certainly happen.
Can you tell me of the giant dragon? On my travels here, I heard him.
What's now called the
16-year-old was
satanic panic
convicted in
was
fantasy
going on
game
at the time.
slaying of
Why does
boy.
my son want to play this game all the time? Why is he obsessed about it? What are you doing to him? Are you a cult leader? I got called a cult leader, a communist, like all these crazy labels. When I watched Stranger Things, it obviously hit home for me.
It is almost here. What is it? What if it's the Demogorgon?
You know what's weird? Okay, so like before Stranger Things, I feel like so like Critical Role, obviously, like there was like a resurgence in D&D due to Critical Role, but I also feel like when Stranger Things came out, when did Stranger Things come out? I need to see. When did Stranger Things come out? Stranger Things release date. 2016. Oh, okay. Never mind. This might have. That's crazy because I feel like Stranger Things also brought back a resurgence of D&D. What 2016 was it? 2022 already? How old would I have been in 2016? I can't do math. I would have been what how old am I now? Like 25? So I would have been Jeez Louise, what's that? 23 and then another 4 out of that 19. I would have been 19 years old when Stranger Things. Yeah, I was already playing D&D. And it was, but when did Critical Role come out? That's the question right there. But yeah, I think D&D was already kind of popular among me and my friends. And then when I saw it on there, I remember thinking, this was weird too, because I remember thinking like, oh, look at them trying to cash in on the D&D nerds. But then my dad was like, nah, this, because my dad played. I think my dad was the same age as them in Stranger Things. He was like, because my dad was born in the 70s, so like in the 80s. I think my dad was born in 1978 or it was something like that. But I remember my dad playing D&D at a real young age. He used to tell me. My dad still has the first D&D books that he got that he gave to me. I don't use them. I'm not. The rules are kind of lame, but it's neat to have.
So screwed if it's the Demogorgon.
It's not the Demogorgon.
The whole concept matched exactly what we were doing in the early 1980s.
Over the following decades, Robert went on to build a campaign of unrivaled complexity.
One of the things that makes my game unique is the story and the depth of the campaign. My world is an alternative fantasy version of historical Earth with then other historical aspects added to it. So if somebody comes in and they want to go to Athens, I can now bring in that history, philosophy, religion into the game. I'm able to create when I need to create, come up with totally new races, totally new nations, totally new cultures, totally new mythologies, but also to use what the world already has.
A typical dungeon master curates the quest for a hand.
What's up, Descrom? I mean, that's like what we all do, right? That's what we all do, but that is very unique. That's very cool.
A few months. Robert, meanwhile, is tracking the adventures of more than 50 players, with story arcs that often span decades.
Wow.
Since the beginning, there's probably been about 500 characters that have been made and played within the game. Jeez. When a new player comes in, I'm inviting them to play a game that they're going to be welcome to keep playing until I die. So you could start a character, 9 generations later, that family could take over, let's say, the Roman Empire. On one level, you're playing that individual character. On a macro level, you're also controlling the Roman Empire. So there are numerous story arcs that are going on. Many of those.
I've had the same dream. I've had the same dream with my friends group. I've had the same dream where like each campaign is like the prolonged, like time continues going forward, but it continues in the same world. And because it's continuing in the same world, like things happen in their ancestors, what their ancestors did, now their predecessors are now taking over for, but this guy's been doing it for 40 years, right? Holy shit! I've had one. This like, if by 2023, I should be in campaign 2 with my friends, and that'll be the first successful campaign that I finish. And that's going to be crazy. Because all my other ones, something would happen. Life would get in the way.
Those last for generations. There's love stories, romances, there's quests, there's vengeance. All these things are happening. So even though there is this large campaign quest, this large ultimate goal, you've got literally thousands of subplots and sub-campaigns going on.
I see a lot of dudes. I see a lot of dudes here. I see a lot of dudes.
From the beginning, Robert quickly learned which rules could be bent and which rules could be broken.
Which rules can be bent, which rules can be broken. That is a very important thing to know as a DM. Very important thing to know as a DM. It's hard to have fun just playing by the rules.
Started playing, there was probably a short
hard
period
to
of
be a
time
rule
when I
lawyer
played
and play
according
this
to the
game.
actual rules, but after that I had to fill in holes, and so I developed my own rule system, and I've never really gone back. So I have what gamers would call a homebrew rule system, and actually that's how the game was intended. When the
It's hard. It's hard making a homebrew rule system because the original rules are designed to somewhat balance one another, or to somewhat do. Oh my gosh, what is this book cover? Holy shish kebab! It's designed to interact with one another. So when you go in there and you start tweaking things up, it gets a little difficult. So it's actually really cool. It takes a lot of work to make a homebrew rule system. I know I tend to play by the rules. If you've played in my games, I don't have a lot of homebrew rules. It's because it's hard. It's really hard to make homebrew rules. But the ones that I have been able to figure out there, I will tell my players like, hey, I don't like this rule. We're gonna change it up. If it ends up being too much, we'll go back and forth and things of that nature. And for the most part, it works out. What I look for when it goes to changing rules is just like the fun factor. Is it more fun to do it this way? Does it make more sense? Does it help the game more?
When it first came out, one of the lines in the Dungeon Master Guide told you that these are a set of rules.
That's the biggest thing. Is it more consistent in how we play?
When the game first came out, one of the lines in the Dungeon Master Guide told you that these are a set of rules, but to apply these loosely. And within
and they still say that. It's just a guideline. That's how the game is intended. Love it. Yeah. It's literally just a guideline. The rules are a guideline. And it worries me. It worries me when someone plays verbatim by the rules, because I've done it. I've done it. I've done it.
My game and my world, there are all kinds of different aspects that you wouldn't see in an ordinary Dungeons and Dragons rule system. My rules are fast, they're quick flowing. People don't have to stop and check things, and that speed of gameplay is something that I find so different in my game from ordinary Dungeons and Dragons.
He said it perfectly. This is why it's boring to use the rules. The rules are slow. The rules make the game go really slow. And I have people all the time. You guys remember hearing Fabernator say it. Some of my friends say it. Whenever I DM, whenever I do stuff, I go quick. I'm quick. My turns are like less than a minute. The players take longer than me, and I could be controlling 20 different things. But the way I play D&D, and some of you guys have noticed, if I've been your DM, or if you've watched one of my shows, I'm all about let's go, let's keep going, let's keep moving. Like, and not to like, I don't take away if players want to explore, if players want to do something, that's fine. But there's a lot of times where there's not a lot of room for dead air, as to say, and so I squish that. And a lot of times you can get rid of some rules that cause that dead air.
Robert strives to keep the stakes as high as possible for his players.
Oh yeah, that's the best
especially
way to
when
play.
It comes to life and death consequences for their characters.
I want death to mean something. I don't want this to be like a video game that you simply hit the reset button and you're just going to start a new character. So when your character dies, if you don't have any other characters, then you're out of the game. The game's over for you. And so when
wait.
And you're just going to start a new character. So when your character dies, if you don't have any other characters, then you're out of the game. The game's over for you. And so when characters die or bad things happen, I have seen grown men weep at the table. And that's something also. People who don't play are a bit disturbed if they hear that somebody who's been playing a character.
This dude's fucking hardcore, man. Holy shit. This dude has evolved. He is evolved past, like, this. Oh my gosh, dude. Could you imagine? What it like? So if you don't have any other characters, so if your character didn't have children, or if you didn't make friends, I don't know what he means by if you don't have any other characters. That's what scares me. That's what worries me. Holy shit! He just kills them off, man. He just says, "Yeah, get out of here, dude." I think that's a big part on maybe how he can keep a single campaign going for so long. People drop in and out. Yeah, he has like over a dozen people in his single game that I find that's ridiculous. I mean, how do you even DM? Like the max amount of people that I can handle is like 6 or 7. Did you see how many people were around the table? Did you see how many people he had around the table at one time?
Things that makes my game unique is the story and the depth of the
ridiculous.
campaign.
He had
Of
a
more than 50
ton
players
of people.
with story arcs that often span decades.
Since the beginning, there's probably been about 500
Hold on, let me
characters
see if
that
I
have
can
been
find
made,
it.
story arcs that are going on. Many of those last for generations. There's love stories, romances, there's quests, there's
Look at this,
vengeance.
look at
All
this.
these
Hold on,
things
there's a
are
good shot coming
happening.
up
So
here.
even though there is this large campaign quest, this large ultimate goal,
Okay.
you've got
Maybe not
literally
there.
thousands of subplots and subcampaigns.
Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 people, and you know there's a dude behind this guy in the black shirt too. There's like, look, there's this dude right here. Look at this. 9, 10, 11, because we didn't see the orange shirt guy. I didn't see the cowboy guy. I don't know who this Chad is over here. Though look at that. There's nearly 12 people here at this table. How is he doing that? And he says he plays a fast-paced game. Dude, the more people at a table, the slower the game goes, in my experience. That is ridiculous. And several of those have multiple characters. I know. That's intense. Oh, jeez.
Time weeps at the table. But I'm trying to create a
Yeah, okay. So, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that's going to sound kind of dark. It's going to sound kind of messed up. You have never felt more accomplished as a DM until you've made someone cry. I know that sounds really diabolical, but if you can make someone cry or emotional, that means they've invested a lot into your game. It is I've had people get emotional and I've had people cry at my table, and it's like, wow, I didn't realize you cared so much. Like it's crazy how invested people get in Dungeons and Dragons. It's crazy.
emotion. I'm trying to create excitement. People are scared, and knowing that if you die, you could be out of the game, or that character that you put so much time in is now dead. Obviously, people's heart rates are up. There's emotion going on, so I can't be shocked and surprised when that character dies that there's a show of emotion.
That sucks. Oh, there's the girls. Was that his daughter?
I have one daughter, and
Yeah.
ever since she was a baby, she's been around this. I think maybe when she was 6 or 7 was the first time when she asked whether she could play. So she created a character as a fairy.
Oh, that's
and
the
she
dream.
still plays
As a
now.
fairy?
She's 20 years old. I mean, obviously, there's other stuff going on in her life, but she's
Yeah.
been playing all the way through.
It happens.
The interesting thing happens when she starts dating, and then her boyfriend wants to play. And of course, I have to tell her straight off the go, now, this relationship may not last forever, but the game's gonna last forever. So get ready, because I'm anticipating a situation when you break up with him, I can't break up with him. So once I allow somebody to come into the game, I'm never ever gonna stop.
Damn! He goes hard. He said, it's like when you're. It's like when the boyfriend becomes friends with the girlfriend. And then you. It's like coming over for dinner and feeding him. Dude, fuck that. Dude's like, that's funny.
Stop them from playing the game.
Man,
so
he
sure
loves
enough,
this
that
game.
situation happened. And so it can be a little bit awkward at times. But it means a lot to be able to have my daughter play the game and to
Yeah.
have her interested
Yeah.
in the game. And she obviously knows what the game means to me, for sure.
So, here's the thing. You know what makes his game so great is how dedicated he is to it. That's the truth of the matter right there, is how dedicated he is to his game. And that's kind of what I tell people when it comes to, like, if you want a game, if you want your D&D game to go on, like if you are trying to schedule a D&D game You make that happen no matter what. You show up as the DM no matter what. And if you're unable to show up or if things get in the way, try to reduce those exceptions as much as possible because you bring the success to the table as the DM. Other people, they're there for the game, but they have other things going on in their life. They may want to go to a concert. They may want to go out drinking with friends. They may want to, some people aren't as invested. They love the game and they'll come back. But you as the DM have to be the most invested person in the game. And the more invested you are into your game and your campaign, the more it will show. The more it will show, and you will have successful campaigns. I promise you will have successful campaigns. The more love you put into it. And when I say investment, I mean don't be stubborn about it. Don't be stubborn about certain things. Like this guy, he learned that there were certain things that didn't work, and he changed them, just like how I did, just like how any DM has. There are things that don't work, and you fix it, and it's almost like it's growing pains.
I think there's an assumption that at some point we're all going to grow up and we're going to stop playing games. And so
Yeah,
people will
screw
say,
that.
how does your game end? How's it going to end? And it's like, well, my
not.
answer is always, how does the world end? How is your world going to end? And, well, it's probably going to end when I die. Well, for you it is, right? And so the answer is largely the same. It's much like life. More than anything else, the game represents friendship. And I find that friendship is based on planks. You need something to hold it together. So we may have gone to high school together, but as we go through our lives, unless we have a plank, we're not going to get together.
I agree,
We're
100%.
not going to fly to see each other. So as long as I can keep doing
100%.
it, hopefully for all of my life, I won't lose my friends. My basement's my sanctuary. It's a place that I can come and I can almost as soon as I walk down here, I am in a different world. And it opens up all the doors of creativity. I don't ever intend on stopping playing, on stopping painting, on stopping building, and on stopping bringing my friends together to play the game. I don't ever intend on quitting.
That's freaking amazing. That's insane. I want to show you guys something. When he said friendship, that hit me. That hit me pretty hard. So before I started streaming, before I did all that, I actually see this. This is what I would call my D&D campaign. It's what I call my D&D campaign with my friends. It was never about Dungeons and Dragons. It was always about dragons and friends. And that's how I felt. Like Dungeons and Dragons has been a way for me to keep up with my high school friends. Like our lives have separated us, but we come back to play this game. We always come back to play this game. And he's right. He's 100% right. And that's kind of what D&D turns into for people is really it's about those connections you make. I never think about an ending to my game. I just think about how can I extend it? How can I keep this going? Because it's right. Because what you had before with your friends was school or high school or maybe an event that constantly kept you together. And because you constantly saw each other, you would want to do things like play Xbox or play World of Warcraft or play board games together or play sports, right? And then once you lose that and you move on from that and you have nothing that brings you back together, there's no real reason for you guys to keep forcing these events to happen. But if you have that, what he called a plank, yeah, you can make those friendships last. And I definitely have. I've kept in touch with some of the best people in my life.